My mother-in-law told me, "You'll never be part of this family at Christmas." So I stayed quiet until New Year's when I served them divorce papers and took half her son's fortune. Before we continue, I want to hear from you. Where are you watching this from? Subscribe, say hi, and be part of our growing family. I should have seen it coming when Austin's mother, Diane, insisted we spend Christmas at her estate in Buckhead. My husband squeezed my hand in the car, his Rolex catching the December sunlight. "Baby, just 3 days. I promise she'll warm up to you." 3 years of marriage, and Diane Richardson still looked at me like I'd tracked mud across her Persian rugs. I'm Sophia Carter. Well, Sophia Richardson now, a corporate attorney who'd built herself up from Atlanta's West Side. My mother cleaned houses. Diane owned them. The mansion gleamed with white lights and designer decorations that probably cost more than my childhood home. Austin's sister, Vanessa, air-kissed my cheeks. "Oh, Sophia. That dress is quaint." Her diamond tennis bracelet sparkled deliberately. Austin's father, Gerald, barely looked up from his bourbon. Old Money stayed silent, letting Diane orchestrate the cruelty. Christmas Eve dinner was an ambush. 24 relatives I'd never met, all watching me navigate 7 forks like it was a blood sport. Diane's voice cut through the small talk. "Sophia dear, tell everyone how you and Austin met. Was it at the firm?" "Oh no, wait, you were his paralegal." "Associate attorney," I corrected softly, feeling my face heat. "Of course." Her smile was poison wrapped in Chanel No. 5. "How could I forget? You're very ambitious." Austin said nothing. He just refilled his wine, avoiding my eyes. That's when I felt it, the first crack in my heart. Not from Diane's words, but from my husband's silence. His mother was rewriting our love story as opportunism, and he was letting her. I smiled anyway. Survival mode activated. Austin Richardson was everything Diane had engineered him to be. Harvard Law, youngest partner at Richardson and Associates, the family firm his grandfather founded in 1952. When we met 4 years ago, I was indeed an associate, not a paralegal, but Diane never cared about truth. I remember our first date vividly. Austin showed up at my Midtown apartment with Thai food and no pretense. "My mom wants me to date Senator Crawford's daughter," he'd laughed. "But she's boring as hell." You argued Simmons versus Bradley like you were born for it." He seemed different then. Hungry to prove he was more than his family's legacy. We'd stay up until 3 a.m., him sharing how suffocated he felt by Diane's expectations, me revealing how my mother, Patricia, had worked 3 jobs so I could afford law school. "I'm going to marry you, Sophia Carter," he'd said 6 months in. "And my family will have to deal." But they didn't deal. They tolerated. Diane smiled at our wedding while her eyes calculated. After the ceremony, I'd overheard her telling Gerald, "She'll get bored of him once she realizes she married the family, not just the man." Now, watching Austin laugh at his cousin Brandon's jokes while I sat alone, I wondered if she'd been right. The man who'd promised to stand beside me was slowly disappearing into his family's shadow. Vanessa slid into the chair next to me, her perfume aggressive. "You look lonely, sis." "Austin gets absorbed during the holidays. It's a Richardson thing. Blood comes first." She patted my hand. "You understand, right?" I understood perfectly. I was being erased in real time and nobody cared enough to stop it. Christmas dinner was a masterclass in psychological warfare. Diane seated me between Austin's ancient Aunt Margot, who was half-deaf, and his cousin Trevor, who spent the meal explaining venture capital like I was a child. "Sophia probably doesn't follow financial markets," Trevor said, addressing Austin. "It's pretty complex stuff." "I manage our investment portfolio," I replied evenly. "We're up 17% this year." Trevor's smile faltered. "Oh. Well, lucky guesses." "The S&P returned 19%. I continued. So actually, I underperformed due to overweight positioning in tech after the September correction. I'm rebalancing in Q1. Silence. Then Diane's laugh, crystalline and cruel. How delightful. Austin, I didn't know you'd given Sophia access to your accounts. That's very trusting. Our accounts, I wanted to scream. Georgia was a marital property state. Every dollar earned during our marriage was half mine. But I'd learned the Richardson way: smile, stay silent, survive. Diane, Austin finally spoke and my heart lifted. Don't what, darling? I'm simply impressed. She turned to me, eyes glittering. You've done well for yourself, Sophia. From the west side to Buckhead. Your mother must be so proud. The table quieted. Everyone knew what she meant. My mother, the housekeeper. My mother who'd raised me in a one-bedroom apartment. My mother who wasn't good enough to be mentioned at Christmas dinner. My mother, I said clearly, taught me that dignity isn't purchased. It's earned through character. Diane's smile never wavered. How quaint. That's when I saw it, a flash of something in Austin's eyes. Not anger at his mother. Embarrassment. Of me. I excused myself after dinner, finding refuge in Gerald's library. Floor-to-ceiling mahogany shelves, first editions protected behind glass. Everything the Richardsons touched became a museum to their own importance. Hiding. Vanessa appeared in the doorway, wine glass in hand. For a moment I thought she might be kind. Then she closed the door. Look, Sophia. I actually don't hate you. She settled into a leather chair. You're smart, pretty enough, and you clearly love my brother. But you don't get it. Get what? This family. We're not like regular people. We have expectations, traditions, legacies to maintain. She sipped her wine. Austin was supposed to marry Brittany Monroe. Senator's daughter, right pedigree, trust fund that would have merged perfectly with ours. He chose me. He rebelled, Vanessa corrected. And Mom let him because she thought it would burn out. A little walk on the wild side, marry the help's daughter, prove he's progressive. Her eyes met mine. But you're still here. And now you're a problem. My hands trembled. What are you saying? I'm saying Mom's been talking to lawyers. Apparently there are ways to protect family assets when you and Austin split. Trusts, offshore accounts, things beyond marital property laws. She stood, smoothing her dress. She's just waiting for the right moment. Austin wouldn't. Austin does what Mom says. Eventually. Vanessa paused at the door. He always has. She left me there in that library full of books nobody read, understanding finally settling in my bones. This wasn't a family. It was a fortress. And I was the invader. Christmas morning arrived with expensive gifts and cheap affection. Austin handed me a Tiffany box, diamond earrings, impersonal and safe. You like them, right? I remembered last year when he'd surprised me with tickets to Accra, my dream trip to visit Ghana. We'd spent 2 weeks exploring my heritage, him holding my hand through Cape Coast Castle, both of us crying at the door of no return. They're beautiful, I lied. The Richardsons exchanged gifts in a practice ceremony. Diane received a vintage Hermes bag from Gerald. $45,000. I knew because I'd seen similar ones at auction. Vanessa got keys to a new Mercedes. Brandon received shares in the family firm. Then Diane turned to me, her smile sharp. Sophia dear, we didn't forget you. She handed me an envelope. Inside, a gift certificate to a spa. $500. The amount was specifically chosen. Enough to seem generous, small enough to remind me of my place. The help got service industry gifts. How thoughtful, I managed. I thought you could use some pampering, Diane said sweetly. You've seemed so stressed lately. Marriage pressure, perhaps. Austin's hand found my knee under the table, a warning squeeze. Don't react. Don't embarrass the family. Don't be yourself. I excused myself to call my mother. She answered on the second ring, gospel music playing in the background. Baby. Merry Christmas. How's everything? I locked myself in the guest bathroom, marble counters cold against my palms. Mom, You crying? What did that woman do now? Everything. Nothing. Just slowly erasing me. It's fine. I'm fine. Sophia Patricia Carter, you're a lawyer. You don't do fine. Her voice softened. Come home, baby. Leave him. I love him, Mom. Does he love you enough? The question haunted me through Christmas afternoon. While the Richardsons watched football and drank bourbon, I retreated to our guest room. My best friend, Keisha, FaceTimed me immediately. Girl, you look like hell. Keisha's box braids framed her concerned face. What happened? I told her everything. The dinner, Vanessa's warning, the spa certificate. Keisha listened, her expression darkening. Jazz, remember when Austin stood you up at my birthday last month? He had a work emergency. I saw him. At Morton's Steakhouse. With his mother and some blonde woman I didn't recognize. My stomach dropped. What? I didn't say anything because I thought maybe it was a client. But Jazz, they looked comfortable. Diane kept touching the woman's hand and Austin just sat there smiling. Keisha leaned closer to her camera. I took a picture. I'm sending it now. My phone buzzed. There they were, Austin in his navy suit, Diane radiant, and a beautiful blonde woman who looked like she belonged on a yacht. They were laughing. Who is she? I asked my cousin Trey, he works there. The reservation was under Monroe. Brittany Monroe. Senator Crawford's daughter. The one Austin was supposed to marry. The one Vanessa mentioned. My husband had dinner with her and his mother during work hours and never mentioned it. I thought about the late nights Austin had been keeping. The way he'd become distant after Thanksgiving. How he'd suggested I might want to take a break from the firm to focus on myself. Keisha, I need you to do something for me. Anything. Call your cousin Jerome. The private investigator. My voice steadied, lawyer instincts activating. Tell him I need everything. Phone records, financial statements, surveillance if necessary. And tell him to be discreet. That evening, Diane announced we'd be having a family meeting after dinner. The formal living room was staged perfectly. Everyone seated in a calculated arrangement. I was positioned directly across from Diane, like a defendant facing a judge. Austin and I have been discussing his future at the firm, Diane began, her voice warm but her eyes ice. With Gerald retiring next year, we need to ensure strong leadership. But there are considerations. Austin shifted uncomfortably. Mom, we talked about this. Let me finish, darling. She smiled at him before turning to me. Sophia, you're an intelligent woman. You understand optics matter in our world. The firm has clients whose relationships span generations. Legacy families who value tradition. What are you saying? I asked, though I already knew. I'm saying that Austin's position as senior partner requires certain adjustments. A different image. Someone who understands our client base intimately. Vanessa jumped in. Mom thinks it would be better if he stepped back from public events. Maybe worked remotely. Just until things stabilize. Things. My voice rose despite myself. You mean until I disappear? Don't be dramatic, Diane said. We're thinking about Austin's career. About this family's reputation. Surely you can appreciate that. I looked at Austin, really looked at him. Waiting for him to speak. To defend me. To be the man who'd promised to stand beside me against the world. He stared at his hands. Austin. My voice cracked. Jazz, maybe we should discuss this privately. No. I stood, every eye on me. Say it here. In front of your family. Do you want me to disappear? The silence was deafening. Then quietly he spoke. I think some space might be good. For both of us. And there was my husband choosing his mother's comfort over my dignity. I didn't cry. Didn't scream. I simply said, "Excuse me," and walked out of that living room with my spine straight and my head high. Behind me I heard Diane's satisfied voice. She'll come around. They always do. I locked myself in the guest room and opened my laptop. Years of corporate law had taught me one thing. Emotions were liabilities, but evidence was currency. I logged into our shared accounts. Austin had insisted on transparency when we married, back when he was still performing love. The numbers told a story. $127,000 transferred to an account I didn't recognize. Monthly payments of $3,500 to a Buckhead apartment. Dinner charges at restaurants we'd never visited together. I screenshot everything, fingers steady despite my racing heart. My phone buzzed. Jerome, Keisha's PI cousin. Got your message. Starting tomorrow. But Miss Carter, you should know. Somebody already filed documents today. Petition for legal separation. Filed by Austin Richardson through Whitmore and Associates. You're not his attorney anymore. You're his target. The room tilted. He'd planned this. The Christmas invitation, the family ambush, the request for space. It was coordinated. They'd probably had the papers ready for weeks, just waiting for me to react badly enough to justify it. But I hadn't. I'd stayed quiet, observant. And now I had my answer about who my husband really was. A knock at the door. Sophia. Austin's voice was careful. Can we talk? Come in. He entered looking tired. Guilty. I didn't mean for it to happen like that. But you meant for it to happen. My mother thinks. I don't care what Diane thinks, Austin. What do you think? Austin sat on the edge of the bed, his hands clasped like he was praying. I think we rushed into this. We were different people 4 years ago. You mean you were someone who could tolerate disappointing your mother? I kept my voice even, watching him. Tao, you're not. That's not fair. Your mother just asked me to erase myself and you said nothing. Usually worse, you agreed. You asked for space. I pulled up my phone, showing him Jerome's message. Did you file for legal separation today, Austin? His face went pale. How did you? Answer the question. It was my mother's lawyer. She thought it would protect me if things got messy. He looked up and I saw something that broke me more than any of Diane's cruelty: relief. He was relieved to be caught. Jess, I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you, but I can't keep being torn between you and my family. So you chose them. They're my family. I'm your wife. The words exploded out of me. Or I was supposed to be. But you never actually married me, did you? You married your mother's approval with me as the inconvenient side piece. He stood. That's not true. I loved you. Love. Past tense. I laughed, bitter. When did it stop, Austin? When your mother started whispering in your ear. When you had dinner with Brittany Monroe last month. His expression confirmed everything. It wasn't like that. Mom just wanted me to reconnect with old friends. Old friends your family wishes you'd married. I turned away, looking out at the manicured lawn. Get out, Austin. Jazz. Get out. He left and I finally let myself feel it. I stayed through New Year's, not out of love but strategy. Diane wanted me gone. I'd leave on my terms. Those 5 days between Christmas and New Year's were spent documenting everything. I recorded Diane's casual cruelty at breakfast, Sophia dear, you might want to start looking at apartments. Something more suitable to your background. I copied Austin's laptop while he was golfing with Gerald, finding emails that made my blood run cold. Messages to Brittany spanning months. Nothing explicitly romantic, but the intimacy was undeniable. Can't wait to see you again. Dinner last week reminded me of what I've been missing. Mother thinks we should give it another try. Jerome delivered his preliminary report on December 30th. Austin had been funneling money to offshore accounts since October. $450,000 total, hidden through complex transactions designed to look like business investments. Diane's fingerprints were all over it, her attorney orchestrating the asset concealment. They're playing the long game, Jerome explained over encrypted email. Separate, wait out the mandatory period, then divorce you with minimized asset exposure. Classic wealthy family playbook. But they'd made one mistake. Georgia required full financial disclosure during separation proceedings. Every hidden account, every transferred asset, every secret meeting with Brittany, it all became ammunition. Keisha helped me find an attorney. Not just any lawyer. Crystal Martinez, known for destroying wealthy men in divorce court. They want to play dirty? Crystal's voice was sharp over the phone. We'll bury them in discovery. On New Year's Eve, while the Richardsons hosted a black tie party, I packed my evidence. Documents. Recordings. Photographs. A 3-inch binder that represented the death of my marriage and the birth of my revenge. The party was everything Diane loved. 100 guests in designer gowns, champagne flowing, a live jazz band playing in the ballroom. Austin played the perfect host, his hand occasionally brushing the small of Brittany Monroe's back when he thought I wasn't watching. I wore red, a Valentino gown I'd bought myself, my mother's pearls at my throat. Diane's eyes narrowed when she saw me. Sophia. I didn't expect you to attend. Wouldn't miss it. I smiled. It's going to be an unforgettable night. At 11:45 p.m., I asked Austin to meet me in Gerald's library. He came probably expecting tears. Instead, he found me with Crystal Martinez and a process server named David. What's this? Austin looked between us, confused. David, please. I nodded. Austin Richardson, you're being served with divorce proceedings. David handed him the papers. Have a happy new year, sir. Austin's face went white. Jazz, what? Did you really think I'd just disappear? I opened my binder, showing him the first page. Offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. $450,000 transferred between October and December. Phone records showing 247 calls to Brittany Monroe. Emails discussing your rekindled connection. Should I continue? Crystal stepped forward. Mr. Richardson, Georgia is a marital property state. Every asset acquired during your marriage is subject to equitable division. But fraudulent concealment of assets? That's not just grounds for unequal distribution. It's potentially criminal. I want my lawyers. Whitmore and Associates? I smiled. Already called them. They're withdrawing from your case due to conflict of interest. Something about failing to advise you properly about asset disclosure requirements. You'll need new representation. You can't do this. I can. And I am. I stood gathering my things. Countdown starting. Go kiss your mother and tell her the bad news. He grabbed my arm. Sophia, please. We can work this out. I pulled away from Austin just as the countdown began. 10, 9, 8. The party guests were oblivious, champagne raised, joy abundant. But I walked into that ballroom and I found Diane Richardson holding court near the fireplace, Brittany Monroe at her side. I didn't plan what happened next. Sometimes justice demands spontaneity. 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year. As everyone kissed and cheered, I raised my voice. I have an announcement. The band stopped. Conversations died. 100 faces turned toward me. Diane's expression was pure fury. Sophia, this is hardly the time. Perfect time, actually. I smiled, feeling powerful for the first time in years. I want to thank the Richardson family for their hospitality this Christmas. Diane especially for teaching me valuable lessons about family loyalty and what happens when you underestimate someone from the West Side. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. See, I just served my husband with divorce papers. And not just any divorce. One that exposes how the Richardson family tried to hide $450,000 in assets, coached my husband through an affair with Senator Crawford's daughter, and orchestrated my systematic erasure from this family. Diane lunged forward, but Gerald caught her. Brittany Monroe looked like she wanted to disappear. The best part. I continued. Georgia law means I'm entitled to half of everything Austin earned during our marriage. The house in Ansley Park. Half mine. His partnership stake. Half mine. Even his precious trust fund dividends? You guessed it, half mine. Austin burst through the crowd. Sophia, stop. Oh, I'm just getting started. I turned to Diane. You told me I'd never be part of this family. You were right. I'm going to be the cautionary tale instead. The woman who took half your son's fortune and walked away with her dignity. The room erupted. Guests whispering, phones appearing. This would be in the society pages by morning. I walked out of that mansion at 12:17 a.m. on New Year's Day, leaving behind 3 years of marriage and a lifetime of trying to belong. My Uber arrived. No more riding in Austin's Mercedes. This was a Honda Accord driven by a woman named Teresa who asked if I was okay. Better than I've been in years, I said and meant it. Crystal called the next morning. You're trending on Atlanta social media. Hashtag Sophia Richardson is everywhere. Half the comments are calling you a gold digger, but the other half are calling you an icon. And legally? Austin's new attorney called. They want to settle. Fast. Before more dirt comes out. Crystal's voice held barely contained glee. I'm thinking we start at 60%. The asset concealment gives us leverage. No. My voice was firm. 50% exactly. I don't want more than I'm owed. But I want every penny of what's mine, plus reimbursement for legal fees. Plus a public apology from Austin acknowledging the affair and asset concealment. That's actually more devastating than taking more money. I know. The settlement took 6 weeks. Austin paid me $2.3 million. Half his partnership stake, half the house proceeds, half his trust fund accumulations. He gave a statement to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I failed my wife through infidelity and financial deception. She deserves better than what I gave her. Diane never apologized. He didn't have to. Her silence was admission enough. I bought a condo in downtown Atlanta, started my own firm, and hired 3 young black attorneys who reminded me of myself at 25. Hungry, brilliant, underestimated. My mother moved in with me for a month, cooking and humming gospel songs while I rebuilt. 6 months later, I ran into Vanessa at a charity gala. She looked uncomfortable. Sophia, you look good. I am good. Austin and Brittany broke up. Mom's impossible to live with now. She hesitated. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. You were right about our family. I could have been cruel. Could have thrown her apology back. But liberation isn't about revenge. It's about freedom. I hope you find your way out too, Vanessa. I meant it. Everyone deserves better than living in Diane's shadow. I walked away then into my new life. The girl from the West Side who became the woman who refused to disappear. My mother was right. Dignity isn't purchased. It's earned through character. and I earned every penny of mine.